Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I'm Darren Moser,
I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
and this is City Alpha 3.
Hello and welcome to City Alpha 3, the Nerd Party's dedicated Star Trek podcast. I'm Philip Gilfus, your host for the week. I'm joined as always by my co-host and cohorts, Darren Moser and Daniel Prue. Daniel, I keep getting these tweets and emails asking, where are you in your alphabetical rewatch? So are we in Z already, or?
Pretty much.
The people want to know, Daniel.
I've moved on to Discovery Season 2 before it's even out. That's how far ahead I am. No, the thing is that I'm trying...
Zodiac Planet.
I'm trying to make a custom sort of easy way to keep track of where I am. So, like, I have a spreadsheet.
So you've been building the Excel spreadsheet.
I mean, I have a spreadsheet, but it's on my computer, and it's like a pain to get to on my phone, which is where I usually am when I want to watch Star Trek. And like, so I'm working on it. I just want to be able to
have a pad for each episode you want to watch, but they get in the wrong order. Then you have to,
I did watch an episode of Star Trek this week, though.
Accidentally?
No, on purpose.
Okay.
It was this scenario. I was sitting on the couch and I'm like, I should watch an episode of Star Trek. Maybe I'll watch my next one in the alphabetical rewatch, but I couldn't because I couldn't pull it up conveniently. So I just randomly picked, and I picked Deep Space Nine: Children of Time.
Now, how do you randomly pick? Do you go?
It's I open Netflix and it's probably the first. Previously, you've watched a Star Trek, and
it's not on Netflix, so keep on going.
What do you mean it's not on Netflix?
Oh, is it still on there? Oh, that's right, they did. Sorry.
Yes, everything.
They pulled it off for some reason.
No, everything is still on Netflix.
Yeah.
Except Discovery.
Except Discovery. Yeah. Okay. Well, in America.
That's where I live, Daniel. You got that right.
But so I don't know. I think it was like the next on just Deep Space Nine that I hadn't watched in a while. So, yeah, I watched.
How was it?
Good. It's okay. It's okay.
Now,
it's not my favorite episode. Is that the one
where I'm trying to remember where the Defiant crashes?
Yep.
And okay.
Odo's
two
really
Defiants.
old, and he changes time so they get erased because he can't bear.
And then
for
they
Kira to
use
die.
that same premise for E Squared, which I'm going to argue. I think E Squared actually did it better. I'm going to argue a rare Enterprise beating Deep Space Nine.
I do really like the scene that the entire crew has on the Defiant about what they should do, whether they should kind of accept their fate or whether they should fight against it. That's the entire bridge crew, and Miles and Worf get into it. Like, they really get into like what they should do. And Miles is the hanger-oner. He's the one that's like, no, we have to try to go back. We have to try, because he has the family. That's a solid scene, but it's okay. It's a pretty solid episode. It's one of those one-off Deep Space Nine ones that are more episodic than the usual stuff, but
that's in the middle of the Dominion War, isn't it?
Yeah, that's season 6, season 5, smack dab right in the middle of when things are getting real intense. So yeah,
But like you said, you could skip it. Like, it's so self-contained.
Absolutely,
I don't think it really plays into anything else,
except for Kira and Odo. I mean, that's when Kira. I think that's the first time Kira.
Well, Odo gives like a full confession. Future alternate Odo gives full confession of his feelings. Cool. No. I don't know why I'm picking it. It's not like I did anything Trek the past week, I will admit. Well, that's not true. I did one thing, but I'm saving that for our topic. So, Darren, did you any Trekness in your week?
Not any Trekness, but I've been more focused on powering through my B5 rewatch. So, as we discussed before recording, I'm a little over halfway through season 4, so I'm over the halfway point, and I'm trying to get through it, but I'm also trying to savor it, as you know, there's only a season and a half left, plus a couple movies. So, and then there were
movies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
like made for TV movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay.
Feature length presentations. I was in Barnes and Noble today, and I always give a glance to what the Star Trek offerings are. Whatever. It is literally was the Star Wars shelf. In between Star Wars on the top and the bottom, there was like 5 Star Trek books.
Wow.
Because I'm like, the way I can always do a quick judge is because, there's going to be your paperback, whatever. But you're always going to have your bigger book of a Star Trek, like your encyclopedia, your whatever, your special book that requires a top shelfer. And if I don't see that, I know I'm already screwed as far as the selection. Because it's like, if they just have the paperbacks, they're not even trying. So, not a lot of Star Trek stuff out there. No toys, no books, no TV shows.
Potentially,
Well, there was
many new
the
TV
more
shows.
recent. There was the third.
I did
you
see
read
the
the
Discovery
third
book.
Discovery
They
book?
They did actually have the 3 Discovery books
I think
there.
it's
They were
Fear
in the wrong.
Itself.
They were in reverse order. I almost changed them, but I thought, I don't know, maybe they're going for reverse
Yeah,
order.
so what the heck? You guys read the first 2, right?
No, I've read
I read
all
the
three.
first- I just
read
read
the
one.
third one.
I just
Oh,
read one.
you read all 3 of them, Darren?
Mm-hmm.
How was the third one?
It was good. I wasn't 100% sure like going in because it's like it's all Saru and I don't know.
He's not your 100% character, right?
No, I mean I like Saru, but I felt how do I put this in Star
Did he
Trek
carry his own
terms?
book?
The way that everyone talked about Travis being a boomer is the way I feel that everyone talks about Saru being a prey species. Like it's
He has ganglia.
and threat ganglia. It felt like it was a little overused in the show. Like I'm like, okay, we get it. Like there's death around every freaking corner. Like you're really paranoid. But I did like what they did in the book. It didn't feel heavy-handed. That was my concern, as it was going to be heavy-handed and just everywhere. And it does, because I liked how they had used him in the previous books. Like in the first book, they pair him up with Number One from the Enterprise. So
And he's
from
all
like,
bitter about Michael being promoted over him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. When did these books... I thought the first book took place before Discovery.
all of these books take place before Discovery.
Even this third one. Okay,
Mhm.
interesting.
Because it's impossible to set anything
well,
during Discovery.
I mean, there are actually a lot of periods of
No.
time that seem... But,
yeah, so,
okay.
Yeah, so the first one takes place... I'd have to look
Couple
at a
years
timeline.
before.
Yeah, it's a couple years before.
It's the Shinzu.
Yeah, it's
right
basically
when
like
Michael
the
gets promoted to
Shinzo.
first officer.
Yeah. And the second one is more focused on Lorca, and that's...
Prime Lorca.
Yeah, Prime Lorca.
So wait, so then season 2 of Discovery has to acknowledge this previous relationship with Saru and Number One.
That would
right?
actually be... Well,
The whole
Yes
first
and no.
book is about Michael and Spock. Okay, guys?
yeah. I mean, that would be nice if they did that. Although there's already some contradictions between the books and the show, in the book, because we get a lot of back and forth between Michael and Spock. They make it clear that Spock did not attend the Vulcan Science Academy, but Burnham did.
Right.
And in the show, I'm pretty sure there was that whole episode where Sarek's making the choice and he chooses not to have Burnham go to the Science Academy because he wants to leave that window open for Spock, because they say you can only send one, and then Spock turns it down. So that's a difference. But I mean, that's probably because one was written before the other or something like that. That's a minor thing. But Prey itself was good. It was well done. And
Is it also centered around a original series episode or concept? Because this is the second book, like you said, was
the
Kodos,
second book
the
was
Executioner.
yes.
So I didn't know if the third book was still doing it.
Really? They picked that episode. Oh God.
Oh yeah. So you know how Kodos the Executioner? It's all about
The conscience of the
the
king.
conscience of the
Conscious of
king.
the King, yeah.
Whereas in
How does Michael play a?
no, she
role?
doesn't. It's all
Okay.
Lorca. It's Lorca and Giorgio.
Okay,
it's
that's
the first
fine.
time they. It's
That's
the first
not
time they
offensive.
meet. No,
That-
yeah. It's
You could
it's,
put that in there, and that wouldn't be a problem.
Because it's like Lieutenant Lorca, right? Or
Sure,
Lieutenant
sure.
Commander Lorca.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of weird to try to start to shoehorn, but whatever.
Yeah, so
Yeah, see,
with
that's my- that-
Saru,
that's
it's
a
more about
larger
him
problem.
breaking protocol, and it's basically like they come across this ship, and it's got a whole bunch of... It reminded me a lot of the TNG episode where you had the drugs, and you had the symbiotic relationship between the two, where it's like...
Oh,
they're
the Dare episode.
Yes.
Yeah, the Dare episode.
Oh man.
I mean,
Prime directive.
only so much in the fact that there's this conflict between these two species that are on this ship, and Saru wants to get involved, but nobody else does. And but they have a lot of Tholians, though, which is really cool, because everyone's freaking out and afraid of the Tholians, like, forever. So... but it was good though. It was very self-contained in like this one mission, and you get a lot of because when Saru goes over onto the ship, like, he's kind of cut off and on his own, so it's a very much a growing moment for him in making, like, I could see the things he goes through in this, I could see helping him become a better command officer, and in what we end up seeing in the show, where, you know, I mean, we've all said we'd love him to stay as the captain of the everybody
don't be
said
sour.
we'd love
Don't
him
be
to
sour.
be the captain of the.
It's just, the thing is, like, if they don't, like, there's only 3 books at this point, right?
Correct.
If the first episode of
Season 2.
Discovery
Season
happens,
2, the one that doesn't have Spock in it.
and God, we don't know. Let's assume that they do the right thing and they actually stick to their guns here, and Spock's in it. But if the only extra television appearance of these characters is in these 3 books, and they don't acknowledge this relationship that apparently is a big part of the 3rd book, then they're not taking this seriously. Like, which kind of, I mean,
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised by, honestly, and it would be upsetting, but it's not like.
Well, there's like I didn't stay with the comic book series, but I wonder if that's being, because it follows the Klingons a lot. So
Wait, the Discovery comic book series?
yes,
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. So
yeah. Oh well. Well, talking about alternative venues for Star Trek, today we're going to be talking about we're going to talk about a little bit of news, and then we're going to kind of go on our own. But the news, if you hadn't heard, is something I'm really excited about, though I don't know how common it is among a lot of American Star Trek people, and that is Big Finish Productions has started their first production of a Star Trek audio adventure. Now, for those who don't know anything about Big Finish, it's a British company. I don't know the history off the top of my head, but I can tell you it's predominantly Doctor Who. They do other properties, but I don't know if they started with Doctor Who or they started with other things and then went to Doctor Who. But basically, there's a huge, I think they just celebrated 20 years, I think, of doing Doctor Who at Big Finish Productions. It's all audio adventures, original stories, and I think the cool thing about Big Finish Doctor Who is that we have all these actors who are still alive, you know, who are the past doctors, you know, who's the oldest doctor now? What, the 4th Doctor? Tom Baker. So you can still have the 4th Doctor adventures because, you know, his companions are still alive, or most of them. And so, you know, and then you can have multi-doctor stories or multi-companion stories. Or you can have companions who never met each other have stories. And I think there's even one case where the 2nd Doctor, who Patrick Troughton, who's passed on, one of his companions, who played his companion, Fraser Hines, does the Doctor for that one. So, you know, the guy he worked with for several seasons, you know, over almost 50 years ago, he sort of plays that part. And so, but you have all these possibilities of original new stories through the Doctor Who universe. But Big Finish has now just started its first Star Trek one. Now, it is Star Trek Prometheus, and I just started listening to it literally today. And it's not, I don't know the entire history, but I know it's originally a German Star Trek book, so it's more of an audio book. So it's not an audio drama, per se, so it's more of an audio book, like you would, you know, listen to any audio book. But they have 2 chapters out, or, well, more than a chapter, because, like, each of them is what? Is this 10 hours, it says? And then 8 hours for the next one? Yeah. So, the first one is Star Trek Prometheus, Fire with Fire, and the second one is Star Trek Prometheus, The Root of All Rage. So, I don't know, I feel like they're probably just dipping their toes right now, seeing how it's going to, you know, go out. But my hope, my fervent excitement is that this will lead to original, I mean, this is original, but, you know, even more Star Trek ones, hopefully with Star Trek actors that we know.
Well, I was just going to ask, did they get Andy Dick for this production, or is he not involved?
I don't know where it's leading, because it was just from, I started from, because I'm looking at the cover right now, and it looks like a 24th century, like, it's like looking at a book cover. But the story so far in the, you know what, like 22 minutes I've gotten through in it on the car ride today from church, was that it actually starts in the 23rd century with the starship Valiant, which is a Constitution-class vessel. And it's like a newly promoted captain. He got a little, like, congratulatory letter from James Kirk. And then suddenly, you know, beep, 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 or, you know, whatever the 23rd century beep, beep, beep was. But anyway, and now they're off on an adventure. But so, I don't know how this is all going to lead up into Star Trek Prometheus. So, but it's very interesting. So, but, you know, again, with Star Trek, And we still have another 50-year-old franchise, has all these actors who are still alive, of course, thinning a little bit at ranks in the original series, but no reason we can't fill in all these gaps, because, you don't necessarily have to look like you did 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, but you can still sound like you did. So I just think it opens up a whole bunch of possibilities. So this week we're going to be talking about different ideas for Star Trek audio adventures and audio dramas. And, if we hit upon a really good one, maybe we'll just do it in the future. So, but Darren, I don't. What do you think of these possibilities now that they sort of dipped their toe into potential audio dramas with Star Trek? I mean, they obviously got a license somehow, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good idea. I know I don't know if it's these specific books, but I've seen other German books, because I listen to a lot of my audiobooks from Audible, and there are a lot of German ones that are Star Trek that are just in German, because I think there's obviously a big following of Star Trek Germans who want.
Yeah, I think as far as country fandom, it seems like U.S., Germany, and then from there.
I think you're right, but I think. I think it's very smart. Again, I think we've mentioned this before, when talking, that it's like, why not do audio or animated or stuff like that, where you could have a next gen animated series right now and just use all the voices.
How many voices would Brent Spiner be doing?
I was just gonna say, think of the cost savings, Philip. We would only have to bring in Brent Spiner and maybe one other.
Gates, just to do the women voices.
There you go. But no, but I think I'm like, hey, I'm all for more Star Trek, and I'm all for more Star Trek when it's confirmed that it's actually happening, because we've already been hearing a lot of stuff. But I'll leave it at that.
So Daniel, I don't know if this particular version excites you, but I mean, what possibilities pop into your mind about audio dramas of Star Trek?
Like you mentioned, at this point, it's all just, where does your mind go? And my mind is like, let's do the Nexus. How's that sound? We've got all these people still alive, or all these audio clips, and let's do something that travels and spans every single bit of Star Trek that we know, something that we'll never see in live action, unfortunately. But why not?
You could have the Star Trek Nexus. I mean, that would be a good, 3-part, 4-part. I mean, you'd be a self-contained story, but you could, like you said, jump and just have it as a series.
Yeah. Or like we mentioned a few episodes ago, the Temporal Agents sort of series. You could do that, and just jump into episodes we already know and just do cool little side stories, kind of fill out the little bits that we don't get to see on screen. That sort of stuff would be most interesting to me, because I don't necessarily want new stuff in this format. I kind of ragged on the whole novelverse at this point, and Star Wars has in the past had this issue, but it's like, if you start to expand beyond the scope of what you can run into some problems. But if you start to fill in the cracks in interesting ways, and not just the lazy ways, like some things, you could make it what you're watching on screen more fascinating, and really bring depth to the universe in a way that couldn't have been seen before.
Yeah, because and I won't keep going back to this, but one thing I do like about Doctor Who, and I haven't listened to these, but they also will try to fill in some gaps. So, I know you all aren't 100% versed in Doctor Who, but for instance, the 6th Doctor, because he got fired, but anyway, never really had a real regeneration scene with the 7th. I mean, he did, but it was actually the 7th Doctor, Sylvester McCoy, wearing a blonde wig, and then yeah, so he never really got a goodbye story. It was sort of he did his last episode, you're fired, and then get the new guy to put on a wig, we regenerate into him. And so he got an audio adventure, 30 years later, where he kind of got to do his last sort of official 6th Doctor goodbye, where he gets, killed and regenerated or whatever. But it sort of offers that opportunities, like you said, because with Doctor Who, they're not going into the future with, making up the 13th Doctor.
Exactly.
Yep. You got 12 Doctors already, go crazy, more than that, really, because, I don't know if anyone can do a good young John Hurt, but I suppose you could, for the War Doctor.
Yeah, fill in, do something like the Enterprise C. Or even B with Harriman. Do stuff that we know that we don't need to see. but that we can like actually fill out the universe. That sort of stuff would be really fascinating.
I mean, watch out, Daniel. Star Wars has been doing that to mixed results.
Yes, that's fair. That's totally fair. That's why I would take something slightly non-canonical, like an audio drama, to, you know, and you pick the best parts of it, and then you make that sort of into canon. Whatever you decide is the better part of it.
Now, Daniel, I think you're shooting like gold here because you got me Star Trek Nexus, but the Enterprise B, I think, is actually a great idea because what it reminds me of, and again, to keep going back to this, one of the things, and I'm sort of new to Big Finish in a lot of ways, but one thing I found fascinating is that the Eighth Doctor, who just appeared in a TV movie, that's all he has, is a pretty crappy 90s TV movie, Paul McGann's Eighth Doctor. But he has lived a whole new life with that character in Big Finish productions. Like, he has, like, multiple companions. I mean, it's Paul McGann still doing the voice. Like, all these different companions. So it sort of created this character, like, oh my god, the Eighth Doctor, he's cool now. And so I think the Enterprise B, right, we just got this crappy, you know, Captain Harriman. But, like, you know, what's-his-face is still alive. Alan Ruck, right?
Yep, he's still alive. Yep.
Do you care little for him, Philip, that...
Well, I'll care next Tuesday. But, like, you
Tuvok
know...
is still alive, so we're good there.
Yeah, but, I mean, you could do these sort of Enterprise B adventures and make him be like a cool captain now, like cool adventures. And you're like, oh man, Enterprise B, yeah, that's a storied vessel that belongs in Star Trek history.
Lots of stuff like that in Star Trek. You could find lots of stuff like that for sure.
And then one thing you could do if you wanted to is you could even bring back Star Trek actors, but have them do other voices. So they'd be like, you know, sometimes, you know, you don't have to, they'd be playing, it'd be us Enterprise B crew, and you know, it'd be like the whole thing would be Star Trek actors, but maybe like LeVar Burton and like Will Wheaton do 2 voices or something, or, you know.
Will Wheaton would be up to do all the voices. I think he would be absolutely ecstatic to do that sort of stuff. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Mm-hmm. And Brent Spiner, like we mentioned, he would definitely be.
See, and that's another one, because I think, you know, from what little I've read, you know, Brent was self-conscious about his aging to continue doing Data. Don't see anything on an audio.
Yep.
So
or an animated, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, the adventures of, well, you know, like, and something you mentioned too, Daniel, is about these side characters. What they do in Doctor Who, there's all these adventures coming out now with, like, spin-off characters. Like, there's a whole, like, River Song has, like, her, like, 3 whole volume of adventures, and, like, Missy, who's the female master, has her own, and when they're like this one duo from like a 4th Doctor, one appearance in a story, they have their own series, like you said. So what like you said, side characters or either one-offs or reoccurring would you like to see in an audio, or I guess listen to in an audio adventure? Like, who deserves their sort of own adventure and time to shine? I mean, we can't do more.
I think let's do some more Lower Deck stuff. I mean, that's perfect for the Lower Deck characters we've seen before. You know, start with the 4 from the episode Lower Decks, and then just
rejoin those actors, see what they're doing, and like, hey, come on.
And then again use that Lower Decks principle of, but I mean, I'm talking about like use the concept of Lower Decks as far as, you know, seeing what they're doing not on the bridge, but you already have a vehicle to do that with those characters, so why not just continue that?
And then would you be interested? I know TOS isn't necessarily you both of y'all's, but would you have been interested in TOS with? And I don't know which actors you would have, because you could go like Darren. You could go the Star Trek Continues route and have like the kids do it. You know, like have you know, the guy who does Scotty Doohan, doing his dad's voice for Scotty, and
Chris Doohan.
You could do TOS that way. You could even use the Star Trek Continues people if you really wanted to.
What was the parody series, the web parody series that did the Lower Deck stuff on TOS?
You know, the young lady on the bridge?
Yep.
The
Red
Shirt Diaries?
Red Shirt Diaries, yeah. Yes. That's what popped into my head, yeah.
Oh, man, I haven't thought about that in a while.
Yeah. I was thinking like...
That was really clever. Like,
that
idea.
Good. Yeah. It was pretty good, yeah. I was thinking something like Riley, that's his name, right? From TOS.
Oh, Lieutenant Riley?
Yes, Lieutenant Riley, yeah.
And his drunken adventure. No, well, I mean, again, that would be a character we don't... Well, I mean, I think we know he ends up on the Reliant eventually. But anyway, that's years in the future, so, yeah.
I'd like to see a, like, Cadet Data at Starfleet Academy years.
Oh.
Something like that. Like you get the Starfleet Academy-ness, but because we have that connection with Data, and he's going to have a really unique, experience anyway. I think that, but we know he still went through all the schooling. Like he didn't just jump, as those fools on the Sutherland learned. He didn't just, become a, lieutenant commander the next day. He didn't download it through the Matrix. He had to earn it, put the time in.
I'm embarrassed to admit, when you said that, I'm like, can Brent Spiner do a young voice? I'm like, no, wait, Data was always
he was the same the whole time.
Same. Yeah.
It's interesting to
But
think
that's
about.
what I'm saying. It's like you're going to be, he has that, what, he's supposed to be like, what, 29, 30,
32 or
32
something.
or
Yeah,
something?
no.
So you have this 32-year-old looking android that's now a first-year cadet.
Yeah.
Did Data not have perfect grades like his entire
Well, but
time?
think about it. Well, but I know what you're saying, Daniel, but it's more than just like, what about the grades with like social interaction? Or
No, I understand that
Human
there's certainly.
psychology. How did he do on Kobayashi?
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. In terms of
like I want to know.
of course, the drama is definitely there. Like, there's interesting stories to be told about Data.
His
at Starfleet
roommate.
Academy.
Who's his roommate? I want to know.
Especially since
It's a Bolian that won't shut up.
No, because the Bolian thought he got a one-person room because Data doesn't have a bed. He just stands in the corner, and he's like, "This is great." And he's like, "Oh, I'm your
Are you just gonna
roommate."
stare at me all night, cadet?
He's like,
No.
"What I say, Data? Face the
But
wall."
like as a student, like how does he not end up like, valedictorian and like he doesn't get anything wrong? Like, there would actually be a really kind of interesting little miniseries.
It's really the whole book smarts versus street smarts debate, if you think about it. But no, and he's gonna get pranked
all the time.
He did.
All the
Remember,
time,
he
yeah.
and Wesley were comparing stories.
That's the thing. That's what made me think of it, because I know he'd mentioned
would
it
snipe
once
hunting.
or twice. Yeah, go snipe hunting, and then Boothby could take him under his wing because
Yes!
Boothby does all
Who
of that.
would be a good Boothby voice? I don't know anyone, but yeah, it'd be funny.
Brett could probably do a Boothby
Yeah,
voice.
yeah. What if you do all the voices? I mean, this is gonna be just the Brent.
But honestly, on the surface, it's all like, oh yeah, Data, like that'd be interesting. But then you could easily take it deeper where, we're seeing his classmates struggle with certain things, and we're seeing, like what's his roommate dealing with, like, yeah, like you said, Bolian or some other race we don't know a lot about.
Denobulan.
And we could Denobulan.
Data with a
Denobulan.
Denobulan.
Oh my
be it.
gosh.
That would be
Optimism
awesome.
Data.
And we could learn a lot about their culture and about, their fears of succeeding or not succeeding at Starfleet Academy.
And remember, there is going to be, not to bring it down, there is a Data suicide storyline to be told. Because remember, who did he talk to? Was it in the someone killed him? But anyway, Data's like, told Geordi he almost killed himself. He restarted his neural pathways connecting. It was such an arduous process.
I don't
He wanted to reset.
Remember that at all.
Yeah, he said he wanted to sort of reset because it was so hard. As the neural connections increased, he was just going to restart again, which would erase his personality.
Oh, you're talking about like
remember.
when he was in Starfleet
Yeah, he
Academy?
was telling Geordi the story. When was it during when you were in the warp nacelle because the person threw themselves in there?
Oh, like Eye of the Beholder or whatever it's
Yes.
called.
Oh yeah, it might have been that.
Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch that one. That one always slips by me. It's like I remember seeing pictures of it, like the ensign with the spoon at his forehead, and I'm like, what was this an episode? Like I swear I know this one. For some reason that one always slips through my mind. But no, I think Data, Starfleet Academy Data would be. There's tons of potential. You could do.
And
some really good stuff.
there would be contemporaneous characters that lots of TNG Deep Space Nine characters would be around.
Captain Nechayev.
You would easily run into people.
I mean, not that he has to, and it's not like we have to Saved by the Bell, get the whole big gang together before they
No,
show up
no,
on
no,
the
no.
Enterprise.
But I think it would be
but-
like you'd have like Captain Nechayev or Commander Nechayev
Yeah.
would be there.
Jellicoe.
And then
I was thinking Jellicoe. Actually, Jellicoe was
would it be like Commander Jellicoe or something?
Actually,
at that
what I
point?
was thinking, just to go on a little bit of an aside, is if we're talking about filling in the gaps and making, putting side stories that are interesting, you could definitely expand the whole Jellicoe on the Enterprise. and give Jellicoe a little bit more, a little bit more characterization, a little more justification than he got in the end Best of Both Worlds, and make him a little more sympathetic.
Chain of Command. But yeah.
Chain of Command, sorry, you're right. So, Best of Both Worlds, that's weird.
They did some of that in, which book was it? It's one
Not
of the
the
more,
Discovery books, I know.
No, it's one of the more it's one of the more recent ones. It was a Titan I think it was a Titan book, and it was the one where I've talked about it before, but it's like this planet is shifting through time.
It's not the Bozeman one.
No. It's shifting through different time and space, and so we pick up. We have the Enterprise E from our future, like post Nemesis. You have the Enterprise D from Picard died at Wolf 359.
Okay, so Crazy Beard
timeline.
Riker future timeline.
They still
Media Beard
defeated the
Riker.
Borg. They still defeated the Borg, but he's still the captain because Picard didn't survive that encounter.
Okay.
Future Imperfect.
It's like Future Imperfect. And
Okay,
then you
gotcha.
also have like a Romulan warbird from TOS era. Those are like the main players. But anyway, you have a lot of interpersonal discussion between Riker and Troy and such, because Troy's his wife at this point, and so it's a little bit after the events of Wolf 359, but there's no Picard, and so but Riker is very much under this cloud of not feeling like he's worthy and trying to live up to Picard and believe in himself and things like that, and Jellicoe's like riding him hard, like because Jellicoe was going to be given the command and Riker got it, so Jellicoe's really like, he's Jellicoe.
What did happen to Jellicoe after? Like, he must have gotten a command.
I'm trying to remember if they said like if he got another assignment.
I think they made him the head of Starfleet something. Like, I don't know
Not
if
medical.
it was the Academy or...
Oh god, he'd be terrible. He'd be
Or would he be the
dean
best?
of all the 1980s college movies?
Do you know who
that
he
they'd
is?
be doing pranks on? Yeah.
His character.
He's the Superintendent Chalmers of Star Trek.
Commandant Jellicoe. Okay. All right. What would be a good?
And one
Deep
last
Space-
thing I wanted to tell Daniel, though, is I actually looked up, because we were talking about Discovery novels earlier. So the first one with Michael and Saru and Spock and all that takes place 1 year before Discovery.
Okay.
The second book with just Lorca and Georgiou takes place 10 years before the Battle of the Binary Stars. And then the newest one with Saru is 4 years before.
So the
battle.
books aren't even sequential.
No, they're just pieces of stories about these characters before.
Okay.
Everything's before. It's kind of like in Star Wars, everything is counted off before the Battle of Yavin. Like, that's year zero. For Discovery, it's all about the Battle of the Binary Stars, aka the pilot.
Now, I don't know how you guys, just as a quick aside, I don't know how you feel about this whole thing. And Darren, I mean, you guys both probably have strong opinions about this, but like, Darren, you with Star Wars and the whole shakeup since all that stuff happened, and with Doctor Who as well, especially, we're talking about these audiobooks now. How do you feel about this extra canonical, like, do you want these supplemental pieces of the universe to be like quote unquote canon? And I think that's kind of, some people like fight, like, who doesn't matter if it's a good story, it's a good story. I actually argue that it's actually very significant if this stuff matters. Like Star Trek has always obviously
Do you mean if it needs to matter, or if people need to know it in order to understand the rest?
Or does the TV show reference the other material?
Well, that's what I mean. I think it matters because good universe building doesn't necessarily need to reference itself, but won't contradict itself. So, like, Star Trek canon has always been TV canon. And not to say that Star Trek has never contradicted itself by any stretch of the imagination, but Star Wars canon, for example, and classic Star Wars canon certainly has, like, to an extreme amount. And
You mean
I don't know.
Legends?
Yeah, like, and I don't know about Doctor Who, but like, Star Trek specifically has always been, what's on the screen is top tier. Everything else is a lower tier. If it's not contradicted on the screen, it doesn't. You call it canon, but as soon as it's contradicted, you go with what's on screen.
Didn't we do a canon locked episode on this 3 years ago or something?
Kind of, but I'm just curious what your opinions about this is. So.
I think, like I was saying, I'm fine with these extra stories. You know, it's good stuff to hear about the characters, especially brand new characters that we haven't had a lot of time to know. But I don't feel like knowing this adventure happened to Saru or something like that doesn't make me feel like if I didn't know that, I wouldn't really get Saru, you know. Because, I mean, in a real world, think about the fact that it's maybe, you know, Doug Jones has sat down and read this entire book and he's going to like let it inform his character, but he can't do that until the book is actually written. So it's not like it's coming from this Bible. It's coming from the author's mind. So, but I feel like I'm okay with these extra stories. I think it matters the medium. Not so much like you were saying, Daniel, where if it's on screen, it's 100% canon versus not so much in its canonicity. Oh, that's a 3-letter word. But as so much as I guess it matters to me how it is presented as far as what medium for how palatable it is. Meaning, you know, if it was a TV show or if it was a book or if it was a comic, like if you have the right story in the right medium, then I think it's really enjoyable. And I'm just like, that's good. That's fine. But I don't feel like, and I guess I'm like you're saying, I'm feeling and referencing that more to like Star Wars, like all the more recent books are now new canon, you know, non-legends, like these take place. But again, there's so few now because they've restarted the slate that it's not, I guess only time will tell in that, because as more time passes and more books are filling in those gaps, and then as other things like TV shows or whatever want to come along and fill in those same gaps, that's when you're going to start to have contradiction and things like that. So all that to say, to your question, you know, I'm fine with supplemental pieces, but I think as long as it's not like, oh, here's a scene in an episode now that you're really not going to understand at all because basically the lead up to this scene was a book that you should have read. Like, and I don't think they're ever going to do it that deep, but as long as it's, you know, just extra icing, and not that it can't be deep, but as long as it's extra, I think it's fine, and it's just more Star Trek, which can't be a bad thing.
Well, because I think in the old days, I mean, y'all are Star Wars fans, you know this better than me, but you know, when there's only like 3 movies or 6 movies or whatever, then the novel verse was sort of a chance to like, hey, we want to talk more about these characters. We want more stories. We want either go back in the past or go in the future or whatever. But nowadays, I think, which is fine, you know, whatever. But I think nowadays, I think you're so much more reason to sort of, what's the word, synergy? I know it's an over, you know, or if people even use that anymore, but synergy to make everything tie together. Like, cause, you know, it's what they did sort of with, and I just got to them. I know I'm years out of date for this, but Countdown. You know, Countdown to, I just Countdown was the first one, right? Then Countdown to Darkness,
like the lead
Countdown to Beyond.
Stuff.
Yeah, and so like,
or you have like Agents of Shields in the Marvel universe, like it.
Yeah, so like the TV
intermeshes,
series.
But
yeah, and so I think that's one where, like, for instance, I think I don't know, I didn't actually think it was that great, but anyway, but I think with Countdown, you know, we don't get much about Nero because I think it's a poorly written villain. But anyway, but nevertheless, if you read the comic book series, like, oh, okay, well, there's a little more there, I suppose. And so I think, you know, it doesn't ruin anything that you haven't read it. No. But, you know, it helps.
I keep thinking of Prime Spock's like monologue at the beginning of 09 where he's like, then Nero arrived first. He was the first to arrive. It's like, let's, you know, if you didn't read the comic, let's just give a little bit of exposition to Prime Spock. We're good.
Yeah. So, you know, so I think, because it's weird when I'm doing Time and Space podcast and I'm looking up, you know, when we do our sort of classic episodes of Doctor Who, I'll go to TARDIS.wiki as sort of their memory alpha. But unlike Star Trek, which has memory alpha and then has memory beta for the comics and everything, TARDIS.wiki does everything. So I have to sort through it because, I mean, you know, because they'll talk about the episode, but then when you kind of go into the notes on the bottom, they'll be like, blah, 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 this happened in prose. This is how they'll define it. And then this is what happened in audio. And so they sort of put it all together, though. They don't just go like audio pro. They'll go through like this, and then the citation will be audio, this, TV, this, prose, this, TV. This, and so you have to sort of parse. So and I'm not I'll let other Whovians speak for themselves. I think they accept everything. I mean, I think most people know the TV series, and the hardcore you are, well, whether you've read the books or
Doctor Who, especially comparing it to Star Trek and Star Wars, has been I don't know how you would past tense this. Caretaken has been in the charge of the BBC since the start. Yeah. So that's helpful, at least. Right? You could say that they've been under the same roof the whole time, whereas both Star Trek and Star Wars have not. But, this is actually kind of an interesting subject. I think I'm going to put a pin in this specifically, and we can talk about this a later show. I want to talk about Star Trek canon and whether it matters or not, because canon is complicated. If we're like starting to compare different franchises, I think it's going to get way too complicated. But even if we just try to nail down Star Trek,
it's okay, guys. I got a lot of push pins and red twine, and I got a blank wall. Let's do this.
Yeah, no, we'll do it later.
Well, we've been talking a while, which is good. We've kind of covered a bunch. So I'll just sort of end it with this. So, what would be an area, whether it's a series or whatever, of Star Trek that's not your favorite? Say it's this is not a leading question. I'm just saying, as an example, maybe you're not a big Enterprise fan. Maybe you're not a big Voyager fan. Whatever. We've already covered TOS. I can't choose TOS. But anything else, maybe an area or series that's not your favorite that you think, you know what? Maybe an audio drama can save that. Maybe we could do this character or this story or this whatever. So, Daniel, you have your arms raised in victory. So what would be your selection for something to be like, you know what? Maybe a second chance will give this another go.
Well, I don't want to say it that way. But Voyager is by far not my favorite series.
Sure.
I still love it because I love all Star Trek. I want to know more. And I want to know a bigger slice of the backstory between Zimmerman and the Doctor and everything that happened with that whole thing. Give me that drama, because those characters are really interesting, with everything that we learn in Voyager, and of course, the little bit we learn in Deep Space Nine.
Oh, so you mean it's all the people back at Earth during the
Jupiter
Voyager
station,
time.
right? Jupiter
Jupiter Station.
Terracentric, Darren.
Yeah. I want to know more about
Sorry,
that.
at Sol. Sector 001 on the postcard.
Zimmerman is a great character. We only get him in 2 or 3 episodes, and
he's a little shorter than I thought. Just
I would love to learn more. And Zimmerman does all his stuff.
And he had sort of a big jump in. Well, okay, I don't know. To me, he had a big jump in characterization now, and maybe that's unfair because, like, for instance, when you see him at the end. I forget what the title of the episode is, but when you see him at the end when he's sick or whatever, and he has like the holographic assistant and the holographic
the lizard.
Anyway,
it's a lizard, it's a iguana lizard or something.
Yeah, and so like, but when he was like on Deep Space Nine, did he have all that stuff, or was that sort of like he went home and went crazy? But anyway, it doesn't matter. In as much as that's sort of 3 different timelines, hand quotes, you can play with, sort of have the early Zimmerman story. The middle and the post.
Let me just really quick rewrite
Don't
this.
wave your arms too fast, Daniel, because that bus seat T-shirt is hurting my eyes.
Okay, let me just rewrite this real quick.
Got it.
And this is fan written, never been edited. Obviously, this is a terrible idea, but in my mind, I want to connect every single little dot. And so don't ever do this, Star Trek, but this is what I imagine. Do you remember in Enterprise when we got the Soong backstory?
Yes.
And he goes,
cybernetics, too much.
I don't want to do
cybernetics.
I mean, it would take a lifetime, maybe past my lifetime, but.
So I don't want to do genetics. I want to do androids. I want to see the Zimmerman version of that, where he goes, "I don't want to do robotics. I want to do holograms."
So you want the TOS era? We can go past Enterprise. The TOS era Zimmerman ancestor. The adventure they go through that leads them to be like,
I want to see the Zimmerman ancestor and the Soong ancestor overlap, and I don't actually.
Explode.
There's like some third cousin in between them, like they're actually related at the crazy symposium they attend every year.
That'd be fun.
They keep talking and talking in one unbroken sentence.
Oh goodness. That's awesome.
Well, I also thought of. Oh, go ahead.
I'm imagining, because I'm trying to connect it all together, because you had TNG, so who'd be DS9? I'm imagining the Oda's Bajoran guy.
I
The
wasn't
three of
always
them.
thinking about changelings, shapeshifters. I was thinking about clay. I was a potter before.
But anyway, so I like it. So Darren, what's your area that could be a revival in the audio series?
I was heading kind of the same direction as Daniel. I think it would be interesting if we took thinking like season 1, 2 Voyager, but really focus on the Maquis and the Maquis Starfleet dynamic, because we didn't really get a lot of that, or at least kind of to our satisfaction. So I think it would be interesting to focus, like the protagonists of all these books or whatever it is, are the Maquis crew members, and not necessarily like Chakotay, but like, so we're kind of like mid-deck, lower deck kind of, Seska's still there and all of that.
The Operation Rebellion.
Yeah. Oh gosh, or what was the name of that hologram?
Oh, yeah. I can't remember.
Desperate Measures or whatever.
It would be cool to see all those characters interact, because the Maquis presumably is not that ginormous of a movement. So you
Right.
could easily have Seska alongside of Eddington.
Martha's still around, right? Martha?
All
Yeah,
those
so you'd have
people.
Seska, you'd have, and then
Chuckles, is it?
Tuvok would be there as a spy. That would be really interesting.
you're
That would be
talking
pre-show.
you're talking pre-show. I was talking season 1 or 2.
Oh,
But
sorry.
I see what you're saying.
Both would work.
That actually would be very interesting. So like the 1 year, like the 1 year before Voyager, and so you have
Voyager Year
Chakotay.
Zero.
You have Chakotay and you have Siska and you could have Eddington. You could have a bunch, and then Tuvok comes in halfway.
Oh, that would be cool. That would actually be
and
really
we know,
cool.
like
Daniel, you know who's going to show up in Maquis Year Zero.
Ro Laren.
Oh, Ro would be there. Of course,
Laren,
Of
yes.
course, Ro would be. And
Yeah.
that's cool. That would be
Oh, I
super
like this
awesome.
Maquis Year Zero
And
even
Ernie-
better.
Oh, not Ernie. Oh, God. What was the Cisco's buddy?
Hudson.
Hudson.
Commander
Hudson. Yeah.
Captain Hudson.
He would be there. Like all the Maquis that we really only get a little glimpse of. That's actually a really awesome idea. Like a very specific, very close period of time, like within a year. Like when the Maquis at its peak, because they don't, honestly, guys, they don't last very long.
Dominion, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But you could have it where like this is a growing
Starfleet's out
political
over here
movement.
going, "Oh no, please stop! Don't wipe out the Maquis." Oh well.
Womp womp. That'd be cool.
That would be
really
cool. And it's
And you
called
could even- you could-
Star.
You could bring in Mark Alamo to do a Golden Cod appearance.
I got the name Star Trek Badlands.
Oh yeah, that would work very well. Actually, yeah, that's cool.
Sorry, Star Trek
we go.
colon.
And then you pull in all these
Badlands.
different voice actors.
The colon was understood.
Okay, good. I hoped it was implied.
It always is. All right, guys. Well, that's a lot of great ideas, I think, for a Big Finish. Look, once you get done with your German English translations, we got some great ideas.
Unfortunately, I only have this German to Klingon translation book and this Klingon to English translation book, so I don't know what's going to look like on the other side, guys, but it's going to be interesting.
Plork.
Yeah.
I didn't know Klingon had so many umlauts.
All right, Daniel, if people want to pitch how Rolaren can be in every story in the future, where can people reach you?
Oh, they can absolutely find me on Twitter at OneUpDan. That's the number one, not the word. As in, Rolaren is the not only the best, but really the only Bajoran that counts. So.
And Darren, Fraser's still kicking. So how many Morgan Batson adventures do you want in the chronicles of his adventures?
Well, you guys may
Where
not
can
have
people
heard of
reach
this
you?
story. It's called Ship of the Line, but it actually talks about... It's been a while since I've mentioned it. It's about Morgan Bateson. But no, they can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at Dr. Sci-Fi, or my website, drsci-fi.com.
And if Big Finish wants to reach me to voice work, write, direct, catalog, anything, just give me a work permit. My
Write
wife
the
will
Memory
happily move back to
Alpha.
England.
Philip,
Yeah.
can they, at this point, are Big Finish not the only company in prime location to actually make the Star Trek Doctor Who crossover canon? Can we not do that?
I think it could happen. It's especially, it'd be a great kickoff event. You have your what you've been using, what you're trying to kick off. I think everyone would love it.
Yeah.
So Big Finish, just reach me, just at me, bro. At NC Public Servant.
Just because you said that they're not going to.
Yes. I'm down with the kids. I'm totally shook. All right. So Daniel, what are we gonna be talking about next week?
So we've been talking, especially in the later half of the show here, we've been chatting a little bit of Deep Space Nine, guys. I'm going to keep that ball rolling. We're going to talk about some of the worst of Deep Space Nine, at least in reputation. We're going to be talking about Move Along Home.
Yeah.
So get ready. I'm giving you some homework here. You guys are going to have to watch it, both you two and the listeners. Watch this episode in this week, and we'll talk about it. And we will actually give you our best rendition of Alan Moraine, but we're actually going to talk about the merits of the episode, and does it warrant such disdain, or is it really that bad?
I'm just projecting. I'm pretty sure our episode's going to be 85% singing Alan Moraine count to 4, and maybe 10% actual discussion on the merits of the episode.
Then there's 10% dice rolling.
Oh yes, yeah, and make sure you bring your sticks. You gotta.
Oh boy, this will be an interesting episode. I think we'll have a lot of fun.
Those are the only instruments I was ever allowed to play. All right, guys. Well, until next week, I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Darren Moser.
And I'm Daniel Prue.
Stranded here on City Alpha 3.